down, Kate. I don't need you anymore.
The test is over. He failed. Come pick me up.
Kate, please forgive me.
Get out, Kate. I don't need you anymore. Mark's voice cut through the sound of the rain. It was loud, angry and cold. Kate turned slowly from the kitchen. She was still holding a spoon in her hand. Mark, her husband, had just arrived from work. Beside him stood a woman Kate had never seen before. The woman was tall, well-dressed. Her hair was neatly styled. Her heels clicked softly on the floor as she stepped inside. She looked around the house like she owned it. "This is Vanessa," Mark said casually. No hesitation. No shame. Vanessa smiled and moved closer to him. She held his arm confidently, resting her head lightly on his shoulder. Kate felt her chest tighten. "Mark, what is going on?" she asked quietly. Mark sighed, like he was tired of explaining something obvious. "I got the $50 million deal today," he said. "Everything went through." Kate froze. 50 million. The number hit her hard. She remembered how that deal had taken over their lives. She remembered sitting with him late at night, helping him read documents and prepare ideas. She remembered encouraging him when he felt tired and afraid of failing. She remembered reminding him that he was good enough when he wanted to give up. That deal was not just his dream. It had become their dream. She had believed in him when no one else did. "Wow, that's amazing, my love," Kate shouted. "We should celebrate. I made your favorite food." Mark laughed. "Celebrate?" he repeated. "For what?" Kate frowned. "For your success? For us?" Mark shook his head. "This deal is mine," he said. "My hard work, my brain." He looked at Vanessa and smiled. "And now that I'm about to be rich," he continued, "I need a woman of value." Vanessa smiled wider. Kate's heart skipped. "What do you mean, Mark?" Kate asked. Mark looked at her slowly, from her simple dress, to her tired eyes, to her hands that smelled of cooking. "You're just a housewife," he said. "You have no job, no ambition, no goals." The words hit her hard. "All you do is cook and clean," he added. "That's not the kind of woman a man at my level needs." Vanessa laughed softly. "I told him," she said, squeezing Mark's arm. "A successful man needs a woman who understands success." Kate felt dizzy. "Mark," she said, her voice breaking, "I supported you for 5 years." She remembered the sacrifices, skipping her own dreams, standing behind him. "I stood by you when you had nothing," she said. Mark's face hardened. "And now I have everything," he replied. "That's why this has to end." He stepped closer to the door and opened it. Rain rushed in. "You should understand," he said. "I'm at a different level now." Kate shook her head in disbelief. 5 years, she whispered. Was it all a lie? Mark did not answer. Instead, he walked to the bedroom. Moments later, clothes came flying out. Her clothes, her shoes, her bags. They landed outside in the rain. Vanessa clapped lightly. "Don't take too long," she said. "We have plans." Kate stepped forward. "Please," she begged, "don't do this." Mark dropped one last bag at her feet. "You brought nothing into this marriage," he said coldly, "and you're leaving with nothing." Kate bent down slowly and picked up her clothes. Rain soaked everything. She looked at Mark one last time. "I believed in you," she said quietly. "That was your mistake," he replied. The door closed. Kate stood outside, soaked, shaking, surrounded by her belongings. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. Her fingers trembled. She made one call. Her voice was low. "The test is over.
He
He
failed.
failed. Come pick me up." She ended the call and stood in the rain. Rain soaked her hair and clothes clinging to her body. Her hands trembled, her chest heaved, and for the first time in years she felt completely exposed, powerless yet strangely determined. Mark had no idea that the deal he was celebrating was about to become the reason he would lose everything. Rain continued to fall as Kate stood by the roadside. Her belongings lay scattered beside her. 10 minutes passed, then headlights appeared. One car, then another, then another. Luxurious black cars stopped slowly in front of her. Doors opened. Men in black suits stepped out into the rain. They did not rush. They formed a path. Then one door opened wider. A tall man stepped out. His hair was grey. His presence was calm, strong, commanding. He was David Anderson, a man whose name alone commanded respect, a billionaire with businesses spanning the country and beyond. Feared by some, admired by many, his influence reached corners few could imagine. Yet here he walked through the rain towards Kate, calm and deliberate, every step purposeful, every movement commanding attention. Kate's breath caught. "Papa," she whispered. He did not speak at first. He pulled her into his arms. Kate broke down. She cried the way she had not cried in years. Her body shook in his embrace. The men picked up her bags quietly and placed them in the car. Mr. David opened the door himself. "Let's go home," he said softly. Kate got in. The cars drove away, leaving the rain behind. After what seemed like forever, they arrived at a luxurious mansion, hidden behind tall gates and lush gardens. The walls gleamed in the rain, grand windows reflecting the grey sky. Kate stepped inside, feeling warmth and safety for the first time since the storm. Silent. Warm. Kate sat on a couch, wrapped in a blanket. Her father sat across from her. For a long moment neither of them spoke. Then Kate began. "He failed the test, Papa," she said slowly. "He threw me out because of the deal." In the rain. Her voice cracked. David's face did not change. "He brought a woman," Kate continued. "She stood there and laughed." Kate swallowed hard. "They said I was useless," she said. "That I had no goals, no value." Her father closed his eyes briefly. Silence filled the room. David Anderson leaned back slightly. "I am sorry, my daughter, but at least now we know who he really is." "And he still doesn't know, right?" Mr. David asked. "That the deal was a test?" Kate let out a slow breath. "No. He thought it was his breakthrough," Kate said. "He thought he has made it in life." David Anderson nodded once. "We wanted to see who he really was, and now we do," he said. "Power reveals character." Kate wiped her tears. "He failed," she said. David looked at her steadily. "Yes," he replied. "He failed completely." Kate looked at her father. "I hid who I was," she said, "because I wanted love, not money." He leaned back slowly. "I raised you to choose your own path," he said. "And you did." Kate's tears fell freely now. "I wanted him to love me for me," she said, "not for my name." David stood up. He walked closer and placed a hand on his daughter's shoulder. "Let him celebrate," he said, his voice firm. "His day is coming." Kate looked up at him. Outside, the rain continued to fall, and somewhere else Mark was still celebrating, unaware that the test he thought he had passed had already sealed his fate. 2 days later, the company where Mark worked decided to hold a grand event to celebrate the deal. Staff hurried to prepare every detail for the big day. Invitations were sent out, speeches were planned, decorations were arranged, lights tested, and music selected. Everything was set to honor the man who had secured the $50 million deal. Mark had never felt so alive. From the moment the company announced the celebration, his phone did not stop ringing. Messages, calls, praise. People who had once ignored him now wanted his attention. "This is what success feels like," Mark said proudly. Vanessa smiled beside him. "I told you," she said. "Once you reach the top, everything changes." The day of the event arrived. The hall was grand, bright lights, elegant decorations, soft music playing in the background. Mark walked in holding Vanessa's hand. Her dress was expensive, her smile confident. People turned to look. Whispers followed. "That's him. The man who closed the $50 million deal? He's going places." Mark straightened his shoulders. He felt important. Mark laughed loudly. He enjoyed the attention. At one point, he leaned toward Vanessa and said, "You see? I told you she was holding me back." Vanessa laughed. "Some women are only meant for struggle," she replied. "Not success." Mark nodded. "The 5 years I wasted," he said. "I should have left earlier." A few steps away, Mr. David Anderson stood quietly. He heard every word. He watched. Mark did not notice him. Soon the host stepped onto the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "today we celebrate excellence and growth." Applause filled the hall. "Please help me welcome," the host continued, "the man behind our biggest deal this year, Mark Collins." The applause grew louder. Mark stood up slowly, adjusting his jacket. He smiled confidently, basking in the attention. Vanessa clapped proudly beside him, her smile wide. "This deal," Mark began, his voice firm, "did not come easy. It took vision. It took courage. It took knowing who belongs in my life and who doesn't." A few murmurs rippled through the crowd. "I made sacrifices," he continued, raising a hand slightly for emphasis. "Late nights, early mornings, tough decisions, decisions that some would call cold. But in business, cold is what brings results." He glanced briefly toward Vanessa. "Some people stood in my way," he said, voice lowering just enough to sound deliberate. "And they were removed." A polite murmur of agreement moved through the hall. "A man must choose growth," he added, his chest swelling. And I chose wisely. Every choice led me here. Every challenge, every doubter, every obstacle. Conquered. Mark paused, enjoying the weight of his own words. This moment is proof, he said slowly, that hard work pays off. Vision matters. And success is for those who have the strength to take it. He stepped down from the stage briefly, then looked around the crowd. I stand here today, he said, almost as if he were talking to himself, untouchable, accomplished, a man who knows his worth and surrounds himself with people who match it. Vanessa smiled again. Mark's chest rose and fell with pride. He felt untouchable. The room cheered once more. He believed nothing could stop him now. When he was done, the host returned to the microphone. And now, he said, and now, it is my honor to introduce the man whose vision built this empire, the owner of this company, Mr. David Anderson. A sudden quiet fell over the hall. Mark stiffened. The owner? He had never met him. Most employees had not. They only knew he lived abroad. Slow footsteps echoed. Mr. David Anderson walked forward. He reached the stage and took the microphone. My name is David Anderson, he said calmly. I want to thank everyone for coming, Mr. David continued, and I want to congratulate Mark Collins. Mark smiled proudly. But, Mr. David added slowly, before any deal is finalized. The room grew silent. There is one last approval, he said. One signature. Mark frowned. David paused, letting the silence stretch. That approval, he continued, belongs to my one and only daughter. The silence became heavy. People exchanged confused looks. Mr. David turned slightly toward the side of the stage. Please help me welcome Kate Anderson. For a moment, nothing happened. Then footsteps echoed. Slow. Steady. Kate stepped into the light. She looked radiant. Her presence filled the room. Eyes sharp, confident, unyielding. A faint, knowing smile. Every step she took commanded attention. Mark's heart skipped. Vanessa froze, the same woman he had thrown into the rain. Now powerful, untouchable, her head held high. Mark's face drained of color. He blinked rapidly, unable to believe his eyes. Kate? Is that really you? No. This can't be, he stammered. The same Kate he had called useless. The same Kate he had thrown into the rain. The same Kate whose clothes he had tossed outside. The hall froze. Whispers spread like fire. Vanessa's hand slipped from Mark's arm. Kate reached the stage and stood beside her father. She looked at the crowd. Then her eyes met Mark's. And in that moment, Mark understood. The celebration was over. Kate did not rush. She stood calm and steady, as if the room itself belonged to her. The lights above reflected softly on her face. No anger, no tears, just a quiet certainty that made the air feel heavier. Mark stared at her. His mouth opened, then closed. His thoughts collided. This wasn't possible. This couldn't be her. But it was. David Anderson rested a gentle hand on his daughter's shoulder. Ladies and gentlemen, he said evenly, allow me to introduce my daughter. He paused. Vice Chairperson of Anderson Global. The words moved through the hall like a slow shockwave. Gasps, murmurs. Mark's legs stiffened. His chest tightened. Vice Chairperson. Vanessa's pride faltered. Her confidence and smile faded. Her eyes darted from Kate to Mark, searching for something, anything to explain this. Kate stepped forward. Her heels echoed once, then she stopped. My name is Kate Anderson, she began. Our guest of honor tonight, she said softly, is my husband. She paused. Or rather, my husband from 2 days ago. The room stilled. She turned her head slightly, her eyes settling on Mark. A few days ago, he threw me out into the rain, she continued calmly, because of this deal. He said I was no longer worth standing beside, no longer useful to his success. A few people shifted uncomfortably. After 5 years, Kate went on, of supporting his career, cooking for him, encouraging him, believing in him when no one else did. She let that sink in. Then she glanced briefly at Vanessa. The woman seated beside him, Kate said, her voice still level, is who he decided was more worthy, more fitting for his new level, more valuable. Vanessa's face burned. She looked down, then away. Kate turned back to Mark. I have always been a successful businesswoman, she said, but you never saw that. To you, I was just a housewife. Quiet, convenient, replaceable. Mark's breathing grew uneven. I have always been your boss, Kate added gently. You just didn't know it. A ripple of stunned whispers moved through the hall. I chose to stay hidden, she said. From a young age, people loved me for what they could gain from me. So I changed my name. I changed my life. I wanted to be loved for who I was, without power attached. Her eyes never left Mark's face. And you, she said softly, showed me exactly how you treat someone you believe has nothing. Mark shook his head slowly. No. His voice came out broken. No, no, no. Kate took one more step closer. This was a test, Mark, she said. A simple one. How would a man treat a woman he believed was nothing? No title. No name. No power. The room felt cold now. Mark Collins, Kate said quietly. You failed terribly. The words crushed him. He stood up and staggered forward, his knees bending as if the strength had been pulled from his body. I didn't know, he whispered. If I had known who you were. Kate lifted her hand. That, she said, is the problem. Silence swallowed the hall. You didn't respect me because of who I was, she continued. You would have respected me because of what you thought I owned. I wasn't testing your loyalty to me. I was testing your humanity. Mark sank fully to his knees. I'm sorry, he begged. I'll fix this. I'll do anything. Kate looked down at him for a long moment. Then she spoke. You already did everything, she said. And you chose wrong. David's voice finally broke the stillness. The deal you came to celebrate tonight, he said calmly, will not go forward. Mark let out a sound that wasn't quite a cry. Kate didn't look away. Not in anger. Not in triumph. Just in quiet finality. The music never returned. The glasses stayed full. Because this night was never a celebration. It was the end of an illusion. Kate stepped forward one last time. Her voice was calm, steady, final. Mark Collins, she said clearly so everyone could hear. You don't just lose this deal. She paused. You are fired. A sharp breath moved through the room. You will no longer represent this company, Kate continued, and let this be a lesson. Power does not make character. It only reveals it. Mark broke. He collapsed forward, his hands gripping the floor, his shoulders shaking. Please, he begged. Kate, please. I made a mistake. I loved you. I still love you. His words fell apart as he spoke them. Kate listened. She did not interrupt. She did not argue. She did not explain. Vanessa took a step back, then another. She looked at Mark, then at Kate, then at the faces watching them. This is too much for me, she said quietly. She picked up her purse and walked away. Her heels faded into silence. Mark reached out, desperate. Kate, he cried, don't leave me like this. Kate turned, not toward him, away. She walked back to her father's side, her posture straight, her face unreadable. In that moment, Mark lost everything. His job, his deal, his pride, his future. He was left kneeling on a cold floor surrounded by people who now saw him clearly. Kate did not celebrate. She prospered quietly. She chose dignity over noise, peace over revenge. And Mark was left with only one thing, regret. Because storms do not destroy character. They reveal it. The moral of this story is, never measure someone's worth by what you see, because the quiet ones often hold the greatest power. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love connecting with our audience all over the world.